Hey, thanks for joining us here on Around the Maritimes, the official English language podcast of the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League. And it's presented by Carlsberg. And we've got ourselves a great episode this week. General Manager of the Cape Breton Eagles, Sylvain Couturier, joins me as my guest as well. Jamie Tozer from Station Nation is here to break down the happenings of the last 2 weeks in the Atlantic Division. We don't really have a division. It's the Eastern Conference, the Atlantic teams around the Maritimes. It's all in one nice little package, and it's right here coming up for you right now. Thanks for clicking on. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Comment down below because this is also on YouTube. You can't comment if it's just listening to the podcast. So, well, you could yell into the air and maybe we'll find out what's going on. Until then, let's go. Jamie Tozer, Station Nation, joining us here on Around the Maritimes. And Jamie, thanks for hopping aboard. You've been racking up the frequent miles. It's getting 61 to 61 finally. You wasted no time. You've been a lot of travels. Where you been?
Yeah, I've been feels like I've been everywhere this year. For people who don't follow me, I try to jam in all my travel as much as possible into the fall, just because it avoids the weather. It gets into some of the northern climates and nicer weather. Don't have to worry about a lot of delays that you will later on in the winter. So tried to jam in as much as I could this fall. So I managed to get out to Penticton, see the new WHL team out there, even though it's not really a new team, but new to the WHL. So saw the V's play out there on Thanksgiving Monday. So that got me to 60 of 61 CHL rinks. And then a couple weeks later, went over to Newfoundland to see the new Q team over there. Saw the Sea Dogs play a couple games against the regiment. And that got me to 61 of 61. So yeah, knocked those off pretty quick. I was a little stressed about, should I bother going to Penticton this year? Just, it sounds like there might be another BCWHL team coming, but it sounds like that might be delayed a couple years. So glad to knock that off early and get these out of the way. So we're back to the full set, 61 to 61.
And you've also hit up a couple NCAA ranks as well on that trip too.
Yeah, I think I've been to 9 NCAA rinks this season. So yeah, I hit up some cool ones. I decided this year that I was going to try and knock off a lot in Minnesota. So there's quite a few NCAA D1 rinks in Minnesota. So knocked off quite a few out there. University of Minnesota, that's a pretty cool rink, really big. Duluth's another pretty nice rink. Bemidji State, I mean, that's one I tell people I went to Bemidji, Minnesota, and they're like, I've never heard of that or understand the words you're saying right now, but okay. Go Beavers. And then I hit up Wisconsin, which is a really cool spot. I've heard Madison's one of the best college towns in the U.S. And yeah, it was a pretty awesome spot and a cool rink. And most recently, I actually hit up some rinks in New England that I've never been to. I think some people were kind of surprised that I hadn't been down to UMass, hadn't been down to Harvard, and haven't been to UConn. So knocked off those rinks. Those rinks were a little sad for me though, just because that's kind of the final rinks that are within driving distance for me. So the rest of them are going to be a little challenging. We're at 37 of 63 D1 rinks. So I don't know how many more I'm going to be able to chip off this year. I have one more, but I think that'll probably be it for this year.
Let me know when you're going to go down to Arizona State
I've
because
been there.
that you've been there.
I've been there.
What's
I actually hit up a. I'm glad I did this because this was a very small period of time when you could do this. I actually went to a Phoenix Coyotes game at 1 o'clock at Mullet, and then at 7 o'clock there was an Arizona State game. So I did the double header. That was a very rare opportunity. So I'm glad I took advantage of that.
what's the college hockey experience like in Mullet Arena in Arizona?
I was just talking with Joe Smith, who does the Sea Dogs radio. I was just talking with him about this the other day. It's really interesting going down there. And Penn State's actually the same. And I think people probably forget that Penn State is a very new hockey program. Um, it's really cool going to those schools because you're seeing these traditions like start. So a lot of these schools will have, people at the bottom of the fan sections kind of instructing students what to do and what to cheer, and they'll have signs. and different things, and so it's kind of interesting seeing the origins of some of these traditions and some of these songs and stuff that fans sing. And Arizona State has a really cool slogan where they're promoting be the tradition, which I think is really cool. So you're really starting to see like the origins of a program. It's pretty cool. So and they're part of a pretty big conference now. They're at the NCHC. That's a powerhouse conference. So I imagine I don't think they're going to have any problems recruiting players to go down there.
No, I think Arizona State would be the top of my recruiting list. I don't I wouldn't foresee the Ivy League in my future. Arizona State seems to be more likely. But let's get back to the Q and talk about Ivy League and elite the Moncton Wildcats, man. They have their Americans are really starting to produce. Um, they are just 5 points back of Chicoutimi for first place, and they've really started to take a grapple hold on the Atlantic Division. Love your thoughts on the Wildcats.
Yeah, the thing for me about the Wildcats, I've been kind of surprised by some of the reaction to the Wildcats this season. I think that the fans have maybe been a little bit harsh on this team. I think maybe expectations were set so high, just given that they're coming off a championship run, given who they have behind the bench. But to me, this was a team that was very likely going to get off to a slow start, just because of the amount of roster turnover they've had. So I don't think it matters, how much quality these players are. I think there's going to be, some learning curves to just playing with this group as a unit. So I wasn't that surprised that I wouldn't even say they got off to a bad start. I thought they, got off to just an okay start. But now it seems like they're really starting to click, really starting to find that chemistry. A lot of that has to do with some of those Americans. Tommy Blyle has been excellent. Nico Tornis, who I remember lit up St. John in the preseason. So really starting to see this group click. And I think the scary part for the league is probably that Caleb Denoye hasn't really been the guy leading this group during this hot stretch. He's certainly been there and had an impact, but he's not putting up 7 points a game or anything like that. He's really kind of been in the shadows of some of these other guys, which I think is good news for the Wildcats, because they can kind of see that this group has a lot of potential. It's also a group that is probably going to do okay when Denoye is very likely away at the World Juniors, which is also good news. But yeah, really, really impressive run by Moncton. Seems like they're really firing. The offense is really going well. And then in net, they've also been strong. I think probably the big question marks around the decor. You look at the decor, it's a respectable group certainly, but I don't think you look at that roster and it strikes fear in you. But I think that if that's kind of the big question mark for me around that, and obviously they had a lot of pieces leave for various parts of the hockey world. So all in all, like a pretty good first half, and I'll be curious to see what this team looks like after Christmas.
I'm curious to see what happens where Stefan Leroux from RDS was talking about Etienne Morin potentially returning to Moncton as well, and what that will do for that roster.
Yeah, I mean that would be a huge addition to that decor. And like I said, I think you look at the Wildcats lineup, and if there's any area where an obvious sign of an improvement is what can they do for a top four, top pairing D. So Morin would certainly be a massive add, and I'll be kind of curious the timing of that too, just because what are the Calgary Flames going to do if they completely blow up this team, which doesn't seem like an impossibility. Obviously a lot of the AHL guys are going to move up. Does that mean Morin might end up staying pro just because there's holes that aren't there right now? So I think a lot of it could end up having to do with things that are out of the Wildcats' control. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how that plays out. But obviously it would be a massive add for the Wildcats. Would obviously complicate their overage situation, but would be a massive add to the decor.
One of their overagers and a defenseman that was sent to Charlottetown, Dylan McKinnon. With the Islanders, though, of late, they've come back down to earth quite a bit. 3-6 and 1 in their last 10. When you look at them, and again, they were so hot out of the gate. What do they have to get back to?
Yeah, and the Islanders, they concern me a little bit, just because you look at their schedule or the games that they've played so far. So many of them have been decided in overtime or shootout. So many of them decided by one goal. So maybe they had just that puck luck in the first few weeks of the season kind of go their way. But now they've kind of been crashing down to earth. And certainly recently, it's been kind of surprising that their struggle has kind of been keeping the puck out of the net, which is, it's not certainly something we see often with the Islanders. But yeah, I mean, they've really been struggling a little bit. And they kind of went downhill after that Quebec road trip. They didn't have a great road trip in Quebec. So maybe if they get back home and things kind of get settled down a little bit, they might be able to pick it up. But certainly have been struggling down the stretch here. And another team, you kind of wonder what they're going to do at Christmas, just because they've had a bad stretch, but they're certainly still in it. But I've also kind of maybe a bit of a reality check. I think I have the standings up in front of me. I think they're fifth in the
Fifth,
league
yeah.
right now, but there's still 1, 2, 3 teams below them that have a better winning percentage than them. And they've had a really busy first half too. That's another thing too, is maybe the wild card in this is they played so many games compared to the rest of the league. They played 4 or 5 more games than almost every other team. So that pace also might be catching up to them. So all in all, I certainly haven't lost faith in the Islanders. I think they have the potential to turn it around, but at the same time, I think we're kind of seeing a little bit more of where this team might actually be at.
One of the teams that's neither been hot nor cold, but has been just, as Goldilocks would say, just right. The Newfoundland Regiment, who are 12 wins, 12 losses, 88 goals for, 88 goals against. They've got some guys that are top of the league scoring, and then in the bottom of their looking for secondary scoring. Really having some troubles in nets as well, keeping the puck out. But you got a chance to get over to Newfoundland. Where do you see this team from Gordy going?
Yeah, and this was a team that I think most of us thought was going to kind of be pushing Moncton for that for top spot in the division, or if this I guess the division does really exist anymore, unofficial division in the Atlantic. But yeah, I think it's been certainly an up and down first half, and I'm kind of curious. Like, I'd love to know just on the inside, like, are the players kind of struggling with the scheduling format? Are they struggling a little bit with the travel? Obviously, a learning curve, not just for them, but for the people around them that support them. Obviously, a big learning of how to best utilize this travel and things like that. Yeah, I mean, a pretty strong opening start to the season, but again, we're starting to kind of see a bit of a reality check for the regiment, I think. But I kind of anticipated them to be a bit further along here. But like you mentioned, I mean, they've got the scoring to do it, but can they keep the puck out of the net? Kind of seems to be the question mark. You mentioned goaltending. That's been a bit of a struggle for them. So again, it feels like we talked about the Islanders again. Like, it feels like we're at a point where we're kind of wondering what direction these teams are going to kind of go in the second half. And it's exciting a little bit just because it still feels like the conference is pretty wide open beyond Charlottetown and Moncton. So it'll be, or excuse me, Chicoutimi and Moncton. So it'll be kind of interesting to see if the regiment can kind of fix themselves here before the second half begins. I know they don't have many home games remaining this first half, so be interesting to kind of see how that all plays out.
Yeah, and again, it's going to be interesting. You make a great point because there is no real Atlantic Division anymore. It is conferences, and then in that second round, everything reseeds. We don't have to wait
Mm-hmm.
till the third round. So the overall standings at this point mean it's paramount compared to years prior.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep, totally. Yep, gonna be fun.
When we take a look at we switch the focus over to a guy that has jump started his career, Oleg Kulyapkin, with the Mooseheads. Oleg is just a scoring machine. He's got 17 goals, I believe, third in scoring in the league right now. And again, he could be making a pace here for rookie of the year. What have you liked with Oleg?
Yeah, I mean, I was actually looking at the Moosehead schedule today, and I noticed that he has 3 game-winning goals already, and the league leader is Justin Charbonneau, who has 5. So I mean, he's right on pace with the big boys in the league. So super impressive to be doing this in his first QMJHL season. Super impressed to be doing this with a Mooseheads group that is not a offensive machine too. So it's not like he's surrounded by 19 and 20-year-olds who are veterans in this league. He's really become kind of the offensive leader for this really young Mooseheads group. He's kind of a player who is kind of a reflection of the Mooseheads themselves, kind of overachieving. You keep kind of waiting for them to hit a rock in the road and then fall apart, but it just doesn't seem to be happening yet. And I think we're at a point with him and with the Mooseheads as a whole where we're kind of getting like, okay, is this, this might actually be kind of real here. They might actually be somewhat of a contender down the stretch here. But yeah, I mean, a really impressive season for him. I know you mentioned in the show notes about potentially pushing for Rookie of the Year. I mean, he's right in there for sure. I mean, it's still pretty wide open, and unfortunately for Alexi Joseph and St. John, he missed quite a bit of time at the U17s, even though he had a great showing. That might not help him a lot in the Rookie of the Year race. But it'll be an interesting race because it does feel like it's a bit wide open right now, and there's no clear cut number one.
And when we talk about how Oleg Kulyakin has been scoring, we got to take a look at a team that's trying to find ways to score, and that's the Cape Breton Eagles. We've had them the last couple weeks on Eastlink, and again, I think we've had. I think the total is they've scored 2 goals in 3 games that we've had on Eastlink, so we're still looking for a couple highlight reels from them. However, a big highlight reel goal is a buzzer beater in between the legs, scored in their 4-1 win over Chicoutimi on the second half of the back-to-back. But love your thoughts on Cape Breton defensively and goaltending, penalty kill wise. I mean, Jason Clark, he's got nothing to complain about there. It's just trying to find that offense.
Yeah, and I don't think that's a huge surprise, just given that you look at the Eagles lineup, and it's certainly not a lineup that screams offense. So certainly not a huge surprise, but if they can kind of get that offense going, it would be obviously a massive help in a big weekend. I think for the Eagles, it's funny. Obviously, I follow St. John more than any other team, and it's been interesting following the standings because it feels like St. John right now is 15th in the league. Cape Breton 16th, but I mean they're only a few points out of 9th, 10th, 11th spot, so it's very wide open. And the numbers probably look a little bit worse than they do, just because Cape Breton is at 16th, but at the same time they're not that far out of it. So if they can get scoring going, that'd be a huge boost. And I'll be curious to see how they perform this weekend against St. John, just because obviously St. John is a team that does allow a lot of goals from time to time. So could be a big cure for the Eagles, and also big nights for them standings wise too, just because they can. A couple wins would help them surpass and gain some ground on St. John for potentially the last couple playoff spots in the league.
And Jamie, again, this is where my basketball takes over, because at the point you get the ball and you throw it over to the guy that's just going to run one-on-one ISO. St. John Sea Dogs, go.
Well, honestly, this first half, I hate to brag, but like this first half has kind of been exactly what I thought it was going to be from this group. I thought that they were going to be a team that hovers right around 500, and they have been that. So there have been a lot of nights where you say, "Wow, this team is really going places." There's other nights where you look and say, "This team might not make the playoffs." So it's been very much an up and down first half. I think the key for this group is just, can they kind of find that middle ground and stay there? Can they stay in games longer, even if they end up losing? I think we saw that a little bit with the game against Moncton on Sunday. Pretty strong first half of that game. They were neck and neck going against the Wildcats, and then it kind of fell apart in the second half of the game. But still some promise here, and I think it's been kind of interesting because I think the problem of late has been more offense than defense. And going into the year, I think most of us knew that the weak point of this team was probably going to be the D crew, which is almost entirely new, in goaltending. But it's really it's settled down a bit. There's still some off nights, obviously, but the penalty kills look really good. So there's certainly some positives in the defensive play. But of late, offense has kind of been the question mark, and not just offense, but consistently producing offensively. And certainly some guys you hoped for would be there night in, night out have kind of struggled to find that consistency. They lost Joseph for a stretch of time. They've had some injuries to William Yared and Oliver Smirniks, who are key offensive players too. So if this offensive group can stay healthy, and then the addition of Justin Gendron, which happened today, it's obviously a huge, potentially huge add to this mix as well. We saw the offense kind of dry up when Nathan Etier left the team. So, if Jean Jean can kind of step in and fill that void that Etier left, that would be a huge boost too. So I think if St. John, I mean, if they can just kind of consistently play better at both ends of the ice, I think that they could have an okay second half of the season. And again, it's kind of funny that they sit almost at the bottom of the league, but at the same time they're almost at 500. So certainly not as bad of a first half as where they are in the standings.
It certainly is a tight league right now, especially in out here in Atlantic, Canada. Of the fresh faces here in the league, who've been some of the kids that have impressed you so far?
Oh well, I mean, I think the obvious ones are the imports in Victoriaville. I mean, they've been lighting it up like crazy, so that's been really impressive. But I think for me, I've kind of been paying attention to some of the new American players, and a lot of those are on the Wildcats. Like I was really curious to see how some of these guys like Tornis and Blyle and some of these newer guys who on paper you knew they could be really good players in this league, but just how are they going to make the adjustment to playing major junior hockey in Canada, playing against teams they don't know anything about, playing in arenas and cities they don't know a lot about. So I've been pretty impressed by some of the learning curves that some of these American players have had coming in the league. And obviously, Alexi Joseph, I've had the fortune of seeing him a lot. I mean, this guy looks like the real deal. I know there's some talk of him potentially already maybe being the first overall pick in the 2027 NHL draft. And, so far he's certainly lived up to the hype. And you can tell that he's a very mature player too. He's not just out there, scoring goals or anything like that. He's fairly responsible defensively too. And, saw during the preseason, he takes a lot of pride in his defensive play and, was used on the penalty kill from time to time. So really impressive performance by Joseph and some of the other rookies in the league. I think now the question mark in this new world is how many of them are going to stick around for a long time. So we'll kind of see what next season looks like.
Yeah, I think it's there's some coaches that got to make hay while the sun shines, because
Yep.
that is the reality of junior hockey at the moment. But yeah, I'd have to echo your statements that Alexi Joseph's been really showing that he's the real deal. He's using his size well, and he gets better every shift. I
Mhm.
talked about Koliviakin again, another guy who's just been extremely exciting to watch him play. And yeah, again, it's always fun to get out to the rink and always fun to check in with Station Nation.
Thanks for having me.
Don't forget the perfect pair with Eastlink, unlimited mobile, gig internet, and you get hooked up so that you're always connected through Eastlink, a proudly Atlantic Canadian company. Call 1-888-345-1111. Visit eastlink.ca or check into the store. And while you're there and getting yourself set up with that, don't forget to get yourself hooked up with the TiVo stream. So you're catching us up on Eastlink Community TV. You get your channel selection as well. You get to swap in the channels you want, swap in what you don't want. Say there's some channels I don't want, and I swap in like the Big Ten Network and NBA TV and NFL Network. Oh, I got my package all set up right now. I know Showcase is on a free preview as well. They used to have the Carlsberg Showcase review, and this is the Around the Maritime podcast brought to you by Carlsberg. Remember, there used to be they'd have their odd ads on while I was watching Oz. You guys remember that show, right? Oz, great show off HBO. Really kind of changed the way TV was done at a BC with the hat on. Anyways, that's enough about Showcase's late night programming here on Around the Maritimes. Don't forget you can get hooked up with Eastlink, and it's a proudly Atlantic Canadian company. Sylvain Couturier, general manager of the Cape Breton Eagles, longtime manager of the Acadie Bathurst T10 Memorial Cup champion. Put some respect on his name. Former member of the Laval T10 and was played a bit of puck with Wayne Gretzky. Sly, thanks for popping aboard. How are things going, my friend?
We're doing really well here. It's interesting season so far for us, but definitely that we're a learning curve here for our young guys, and I like where we are right now. So yeah, it's been an interesting year as I mentioned, but very happy where we are right now.
It's you talk about it being an interesting year again. Like We've had a chance to cover this team. Defense has been there, penalty kill, goaltending. It's trying to find that offense. I'd love your assessment on your 18.
Well, like you said, the defense been more than fine. I think we're third or fourth in the league right now. But that come with maturity, and you look at our backhand. We got a lot of experience. We're mature. You know, Quebec, Murphy's second year. Quebec's 19 years old. Love West. You know, Thomas being Thomas, 19 years old and fourth year in the league. You got DLD there, De Durante, that second year in the league. So the experience is there. We got a guy like Jettleson, who's although he's a rookie, he's 19 years old, but the Mekala, you know, second year in the league, and so experience-wise, we're there, and it show. As I mentioned earlier, and offensively, we got 17 years old, which that's the biggest for me. That's the biggest difference. You know, last year we had guys like Newcomb, Squires, Burbage, Romeo, Fullerton, Patterson. We had a group of experience and a very experienced forward. This year, you know, even though that we got some rookies like Burke and guys like that, we're talking about 500 games difference between this year and last year. That's a lot, and then offensively it shows. That's one of the reasons we win this week and get a guy like Keaton Kelly. We think his experience will help our young guys and help the young guys to grow in that you know, this year. And but it's hard. It's hard to ask 17 years old to do what 19 years old can do in this league. And yeah, offensively, you know, we have we struggle to score goals, obviously. But you look at our record this year and the one last year after 20 21 games, it's similar, very similar. I think where there's 1 point difference, or I think we're at the exact same place as we were last year. So stats wise, you know, can't score a goal. We play tighter defensemen, committed to our defense. And like I said, our duos of goalie are probably one of the best in the league with Mel and Toll. So yeah, we obviously we're not going to win game 7-6 or 6-5, but as we show, we can win you know, games 1-0, 3-2, and 3-1s, and that's how it's going to be.
The one goal games with such a young core, how critical is that in their development, especially getting puck luck that close losses turn into close wins with experience?
Oh, for sure. You're looking at we got 5 loss in overtime or shootout this year. Uh, that's experience, and in the long run, it's going to be very helpful for our young guys. And like I said, we're very very happy where we are with that young group, and you know, we got a pipeline of good young players coming down and coming up, and most of them are young D's. So you know, we had those young D's with the core of the forward that we got, and all the draft pick coming up. You know, next year and the following year. I like where we are. We're in good shape to go for many years, to have a good team for many years, and that's the goal here. We want to have a built a franchise that we're going to win and have a chance to win every year.
One of the it's been at the town hall that was just recently, there's a lot of chips being pushed in towards this club going after a Memorial Cup bid for 2028. When you look at those aspirations and look at the, you know, the club around you, what has to happen for this club to have a successful bid?
Well, I think there's a lot of things that we can control, starting with you know, the renovation on the building. And that being said, I think you know, we're working end to end with the city, and the city has been great to us. But you know, there's no guarantee that the building will be ready. And then after that, obviously, you need, and that's where we come to play, where we need to have a good team on paper to present ourselves to apply for the Middle Cup. So there's some of the stuff that are out of our control. Some are, and we can only control what is on our control, and that's being putting a good hockey team on the ice in 2 years. And like I said, like I just mentioned, we think we're in good shape to do that, and we're confident we're going to do that. And like I said, I think that the city is doing everything they can, and their their help to the team has been really good. But definitely that without the renovation of the building, I don't think it's going to happen.
Thomas Lavoie, captain of this team, and that is a young man that has fallen in love with Cape Breton, and I can see it every time I speak with him how much he loves playing for the Eagles. So, what can you say about Thomas Lavoie?
Well, he's I've been around for 23 years, and Thomas is definitely, I can assure you that he's probably or he is one of the top three players or person that I met throughout my career as a relationship between the management and players. He's an ambassador for the city. He's an ambassador for the team. He loves it here, and he's been nothing but great for us for the last 3.5 years. And whatever happened with Thomas, he will leave a great heritage to Cape Breton. And like I said, he's without a doubt one of my favorite I ever had to be around. And he's a person I respect a lot. And whatever happened to him, hockey or not hockey, he's going to be successful.
Well, it's high praise coming from you because you've been around a lot of personalities in the Quebec Maritime slash Major Junior Hockey League, and we go back to the original Titan, the Laval Titan. That's where you started there. You had 3 good seasons with Laval in junior. What are some of your memories of playing in the league?
I think, and it's no cliche, but everybody said your best year are junior years, and it's true. I my 3 years in Laval were great. That's where I met my wife, my current wife Isabel, and we met in junior. We met in Laval, and built the family together. But hockey wise, and those 3 years were you know they were great. You're 17, 18, 19. All you have to worry about is to play hockey, and I think it's those glory years of junior hockey are the best. And I always told the players, enjoy your junior hockey year. It's going to go quick. It's going to go fast, but you're always going to remember those years. And it's the case for me. Yeah.
What was the best bit of advice you got in your junior hockey career?
That was my best advice. I remember, I played 1 year with Vincent Neuf. Was my first year. I had some really good Stephen Finn who played in Quebec for many years, and our goalie was Mario Brunetta, and there were the veteran that I had around me, and Vinny Danfus was one of them. And they told me that's geez, already our last year, and time just flies. So I told the players, enjoy your years, your junior years. It's a great time. A lot of friends. You're gonna meet a lot of friends for life, and it's a great experience. You have to enjoy it. Enjoy the moment, and make sure that that you really enjoy those 3 years or 3 or 4 years for some guys, but those are the best year of your life.
You've been around the game again for, you're a hockey lifer, but if you'd have had one aspect of today's game back in junior, what would you want to have?
That's an intriguing question. I mean, hockey or everything have changed from my days, starting from the school, the league progressed so much in that aspect of the game. Back in the days, I'm not trying to say that half of our team didn't go to school. Today, everybody have to go to school. There was no school program. There was no bursary for the athletes. You were left on your own. Now, especially here, we got the guy like Ryan McPherson that is in charge of a program, and he's doing a tremendous job. And that aspect of hockey or junior hockey have changed a lot, and it progressed for the best. On the ice, back in the days, again, if you compare with today's, you know, back in my days, I remember, if you didn't have 100 penalty minutes a year, there was something wrong with you almost. Today's, there's no more fighting. So that changed a lot again. And but the game is faster, quicker today. I truly believe that. The players, the video came in, which we didn't have any video back in the days as well. So many things have changed. I think most of them for the best, and I think it's different, but it's good. It's good progression for everyone.
Well, and it's a good chance to shout out Aiden McCullough as he picked up it was the silver winner of the Dr. Sylvain Simard Awards from the 2024-2025 season, a $1,500 scholarship. Riley Sampson from Moncton got the gold, and Alonzo Goslan with the bronze award. Again, that just speaks a lot to the school part of the student athlete here.
Oh yeah, and as we know now, the league offer up to $7,200 a year in bursary for the players if you play a full year. I think it's 3,600 a semester. But you had that over a period of 2 or 3 or 4 years. It definitely helped the players when they're done here to go to university, and they can still continue to play hockey and have that money from the league. So I think it's a win-win situation for everybody, especially for the players. And every year, I think when I started as a GM, it was at 4,500 and went up to 5 or 6, and then now it's up to 7,200. So we're adjusting, and great for the players. They deserve it, and I'm happy to see that after their junior career, there's something waiting for them. And like I said, if it's not in hockey, it's going to be in someplace else. But it's a great experience, a great life experience for them to be here for 3 years and go to school and play hockey, do what they like the most, and still have the chance to finish their school after.
And shout out Bubba as well, Ryan McPherson as well. Shout out to Bubba. Now, Sly, we talked about after your junior career and how it goes fast. Your first year in junior, Luc Robitaille wins the playoff MVP. 3 years later, you're in a locker room with him in Los Angeles, getting ready for your first game in the National Hockey League. What's the nerves like being in a locker room with not just Luc Robitaille, but a certain guy wearing number 99? Because I'm sure people remember their first game against Gretzky. Your first game in the league was with Gretzky.
Oh no, I remember when I got drafted by the LA Kings, they had the old purple and yellows uniform. And 3 years later, as you mentioned, there was a completely new organization with Mr. Micknall coming on board, and then made the big trade, obviously, for Gretzky and Luc Robitaille as a rookie there. My third year, my third camp there. Everything was completely changed from my first camp anyway. And first game you play in the NHL, and like you said, you got Luc Robitaille, Bernie Nichols, Yeri Curry, who played with Gretzky, was there. And growing up, myself as a Montreal Canadian fan, being from Montreal, and you got Larry Robinson sitting next to you. It's definitely was quite an experience, and something that you always going to remember. Obviously, I played 34 games or 33 games in the NHL, and those are 33 games that I'm always going to remember. But your first one, as you mentioned, being sitting next to these guys are something very special.
Yeah. So, what's it like again? You're next to Robinson, Larry Robinson, in there. It's a guy that, a couple of years prior, you're cheering him in the playoffs.
Oh, I mean, there's a funny story about Larry Robinson. Like I said, I played with him for half a year because I officially played 33 games, but 1 year I was there for the first 42, although I was dressed only 14 games. And many years after, Sean, my son, I think it was his first or second year's pro anyway, play against New Jersey in the playoff. And Larry Robinson was the coach in New Jersey. And while New Jersey beat Philly, and anyway, like I said, we're talking about 20 some years later, and Larry Robinson shaking hands with Sean said, "They say hi to your dad for me." Coming from a guy like him, I mean, Sean called me after the game, said, "I didn't know you know Larry Robinson," and I said, "Yeah, I played with him many years ago." That being said, but it's showed the class of Larry Robinson. I think he was one of the classest guy that I played with, him and Dave Taylor, the captain there in LA. And we mentioned all the other Gretzky and these guys. They were all nice, very nice to me. And I don't have anything bad to say against anyone, but they're all Hall of Famer if you want. So that's something special.
The road show that was the Edmonton Oilers, it got transferred to Los Angeles. What was it like being on the road with Wayne Gretzky and the traveling road show that would follow with that?
Well, we were one of the first one, if not the first one. We have our own jet, our own private plane. So it was something special back then. I mean, today's every team's got their own plane, their own flight to not commercial flight, but private flight to go from town to town. But I remember back in the days. 30 some years ago that we were the first team to have that in the NHL anyway. And yeah, it's different. It's obviously when you were going out for dinner or for a beer for that matter, and there's two different atmosphere when Gretzky was around because there was so many people, many fans around when Gretzky was there that when he was not there. Obviously, when I was alone by myself or with a couple of other rookies, we were like nobodies, and we got ourselves a nice quiet dinner. But like I said, when Gretzky or for that matter a guy like Robinson, these guys were around, it changed completely. Like there was a lot of people around asking for autograph and stuff like that. So it was a little bit like a jet set if you want, and it was nice. I mean, but like I said, it's I was very privileged to play with these guys. I mean, I consider myself very lucky to have the chance to play with the guy, well, the best players I ever played a game, probably in Gretzky and guys like I said, all those all of fame players.
That's awesome. Yeah, and Gretzky was second assist on your first goal.
Yeah,
So
that's right. Yeah,
you helped Gretzky get one of his many points in the league.
one of the many one. Yeah.
Yeah. So you get a chance. You go to you play New Haven for a couple of years between New Haven and Los Angeles, but also then you're playing Phoenix, Fort Wayne, Milwaukee in the International Hockey League. What I this is I'm intrigued to find out about the IHL because I've talked hockey with a lot of people. I've never had a chance to really talk about the International Hockey League. What was the IHL experience like?
I love it. It was somewhere between to be honest, between the American League and the National League, where it wasn't the minor, but it was guys at the end of their career, so there was a lot more experienced players. The year I played in Phoenix, I had Brian Lawton, who was a first overall pick, playing on our team. Chris Contos, Scott Bustad, Walters, Rick Walters. We had a Mario Gosling was our goalie. We had a ton of experience, but every team was basically like that. And where in the American League, where when I start the first 2 years was, there was different rules as well, where you had to dress only 10 forward. They were trying to get rid a little bit of the tough guy, if you want, but it was more development league and it was more the young guys. Where in the IHL International Hockey League was veterans and a lot of veterans that played a ton of games in the NHL. And I mean, it was different, but I enjoy a lot the days in the IHL and the city where in New Haven, great little place in Connecticut. I love New Haven, but you play Springfield, you play those small town Utica, and Adirondack, and in the IHL, we play Vegas, San Diego. They were all big city, big town, and travel by plane. The AHL by bus. Uh, closer to the NHL, I would say, more experience, closer to the NHL, the way it was set up for the travel and everything else. But it's one league that I really enjoy.
What what was it that kind? And again, you're out of the league before it dissolves. But what was it? Do you think that killed the International Hockey League?
I think it was the salary. I think we were we were making pretty good money in the IHL. You know, like I said, in Phoenix, our attendance was close to 10,000 people a game. We obviously were under contract with LA. I was, or most of us was, but they had bigger crowd, so they could afford to pay the players a little bit more money. But I think, like anything else, it's get a little bit out of hands. And I remember in my last year in the IHL where I did sign as a free agent in Phoenix, in Milwaukee. I signed a 3-year deal, and I had three NHL teams. Winnipeg was one of them, and Detroit wanted to resign me, but they couldn't they couldn't match up the salary that Milwaukee was offering me in the international league. So I decided to I knew I was bit like a minor league player, and I decided to go for the money, but the salary were very, very good in the international league.
And you got to play with Fabian Joseph, Cape Breton
And
legend.
that's where I had to play with Fabe the Keep, Fabe from the Keep, we used to call him. Yeah, played 4 years with Fabe. He was my centerman, matter of fact, for a couple of years. Great teammate. Nothing but good to say about Fabe. He's a good friend of mine, and yeah, he's a quality person, and proud to call him my friend.
Yeah, and now working together and part of the front office with the Eagles.
Right. So yeah, he did more work last year, to be honest. Unfortunately, like any other junior team, we run with a budget here, so he still he still take the calls, but he's not as involved as he was last year.
So we move on from the pro career. You go to Germany though before transitioning to the front office side of things. The European experience compared to playing in North America. What was it like in the Dell?
It was good. I like the DL. I call it. That was at the end of my career. Obviously, the last 4 years I think I was there. I call it the biggest beer league in the world. It's definitely a different experience. You know, you only play. We were playing 52 or 54 games a year instead of 80 or 82, and big difference in lifestyle. You spend a lot of time at home with the family. Play majority of the time on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, or Friday, Sunday, or. But yeah, like I said, very different. Lifestyle. I call it the biggest beer league in the world. They had a tradition there. They had two traditions there. One was called the Kevin Fest, where every Monday, as the players, there was players from everywhere, like Sweden, Finland, Canada, obviously, Germany, and every Monday they have one of the players have to prepare or order a meal from his country, and after practice, where we practice at 10 o'clock, so around noon, we used to stay at the rink till 10 o'clock at night, 10, 11 o'clock at night on Monday, and just drink beer and enjoy the meal from whoever the country it was. So that was one tradition. And after each game, we have to go in the tent where they had a sponsor for all the sponsor were gathering in the tent, and they didn't ask you if you want to go, but you had to go and have a beer with the sponsor. So that's where it come. Where do we call it the biggest beer league in the world?
Well, the Around the Maritime podcast sponsored by Carlsberg. Uh, so, Sly, you make the decision to move over to the front office, and the opportunity comes up with Acadie Bathurst. What was the motivating factor to move up to Northern New Brunswick and be part of this team?
Well, after my career, I went back home. I bought myself a little canteen there, and I was coaching a Bantam team. I want to stay in hockey. When I came back, I first sent my resume to all the team in Major Junior. didn't have any calls, so I applied to coach a Bantam team back in my hometown, which I did. And then after that first year of coaching in Bantam, I got a call from Leogi Morissette who called me to see if the job of assistant coach was something that I'd be looking to. And I went for the interview. Real Pima was the head coach. I remember the draft was in Batters that year's anyway. So got there, got the interview by Real. A week later, got the call back and offered me the job. So I give myself a couple of years. I didn't want to be an assistant coach all my life. Real left. I got offered a job as the head coach. To be honest, it didn't work out really well for me. That first 10 games was not a success. So I kind of stepped down and was sitting at home, was planning on going back home and look for something else. Then Mario Durocher, that a lot of people know here, was my replacement, and he called me out of nowhere one day. He wants to go for breakfast, asked me to finish the season, to come back as an assistant coach, which after, I was waiting for my two kids at school to finish their school. So I was going to be in Batters anyway. I decided to come back as an assistant coach. And at the end of the year, was ready to back in and go back. And Leogi again called me, invite me over for coffee at his home, and asked out of nowhere, very caught me by surprise, asked me if I like to try the GM job. And I said, listen, I'll try it for 1 year, see if I like it, see if it worked out for me. And after that first year, we went to in the Final Four. Then I got offered a 5-year contract, and then I had my famous 10-year deal, and the rest is history, like they said. But that's how I started as a GM. I was my wife, my kids already, we find a place back home. So they moved back home. I stay in Batters. I didn't expect to get anything after my last year in coaching. And Leogi, gave me my first chance as a coach and as a general manager. So I hold the guy a lot, and he was great for me. And like I said, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him.
What's the first couple lessons you learn as a new general manager in the league?
One thing I learned, and still today, I really go with that. Don't be too greedy. You try to hit the home run every time. You're gonna get a strikeout at the end. I think it's and always. And I said that a lot. And I told the new GM, and when I talked and I think the older guy knows me. I never do a deal to make that other GM look bad. I mean, it have to be a win-win situation for everybody. If you're not comfortable with the deal, that means it's not the right deal. When you get to the point you're comfortable with, that means it's the right deal for us. But I never had made a deal and said, oh, I think I got the upper end on this one. Obviously, I hope and I think that the other GM is thinking like me, and that they're going to do what's best for their organization and what's best for my organization. And at the end, that's what it should be. And that's the philosophy I got since my first year, and I'm going to stick with that till the end. And it's I'm not there to make any enemies. I'm not there to make any friends. I'm here to work for my organization and make sure that at the end we believe that the organization will be better off with a deal that we're going to make.
Well, you certainly have not been afraid to make deals because there is. So I don't know. Do you know how many trades you've made over the years? Because it's you might hold the record.
No, I don't know, but there's one thing I believe that I think I got good relationship with most of the agent, if not all. I hope it's all, because personally I got along with all of them. But one thing is I know some guys does, and it's not my style to take it personal. There's a lot of time when the players ask for a trade for whatever reason, that they're home sick or don't get along with the coach or whatever it is. If I can, fix the problem, I'm not gonna just tell the guys go home and wait, and I'm not gonna trade you. It's not personal. These kids wants to play hockey. At the end of the day, we have to think about the kids. You can't think about yourself and be selfish about it. It's all about the kid at the end. And if the kid's not happy and wherever they are, uh, I always, it was batters or here, I always give them a chance to go someplace else. As long as, again, as long as, and at the end, you have to find the right match for it. But there's always the right match somewhere. And at the end of the day, it's all about the players. It's all about the kids. And I don't remember too many guys that I personally sent home without trying to trade them. Uh, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we can punish a 17, 18, or 19 years old kid for that.
So I know it's yeah, I say you're always open for business, and I have heard many times that it says like, well, he wanted to trade, so we made sure that he was great, and you're better for it because I know there's sometimes there is some times where a kid gets sent home or just held back and that. You bring up the agents and how you have a good relationship with them. How much is there with the player agents and the family advisors in the league, kind of working with them and working in tandem with other general managers?
Well, like I said, I think the relationship I got with most of them are really good, and these guys are professional. And at the end of the day, I understand that they're working for the family, or they're working to help the family, and they're doing a job, and I'm doing my job, and I think everything have to be done in respect, and that's the bottom line. At the end of the day, I got a lot of respect for them, and I hope that they got a lot of respect for me. And our by time do we got our difference? Of course we do, but like I said, it's never personal, and it's business at the end of the day. And but there's always common ground somewhere, and I think most of them are very reasonable people, and we always find a ways to get what we want on both sides and make everybody happy.
When you're on the other side of this with your son Sean, and you're a general manager in the league, and Couturier's your son Sean's coming up. He's playing out in Saskatchewan, and it's his draft year. What's going through your mind? Are you thinking, is there a way we could maybe swing this 11 pick down to number two and maybe see if he's on the board for us?
Well, I remember it was a funny story because obviously Sean, when I got to Batters, I think Sean was 6 or 7 years old, whatever he was starting in hockey, obviously. And I remember Yogi Merced told me, he said, offer all our picks for the number one pick. We didn't know. Uh, well, Moncton had the first pick that year. We didn't know. We knew, or we had a good way to know that Brendan Gulney was going to be the first pick overall. So anyway, I went to Dominic Ricard and offered him all our picks for number two, and he just said no. And to be honest, at the end of the day, I was happy about it because I didn't know if it was going to be a good thing. He went away from home. He was 14 years old, went to Saskatchewan, so I thought he was ready to be on his own again at 15, and he did end up in Drummondville second overall, and they took a really good care of him. The Drummondville Vulture was a Class A organization, and they took really good care of him, and he played there for 3 years and got drafted and made the NHL in his first camp. So I've been there for 15 years now. It's his 15th years in the NHL. Time's flying, but yeah, he's like I said, he was well treated in Drummondville, and I'm very happy how it handled at the end of the day.
Well, he's captain for the Philadelphia Flyers again. How much pride do you see in him becoming the man that he is?
Well, I'm very happy and proud of Sean. Obviously, you look at his track record in the NHL. Unfortunately, there's one big trophy missing. It's the Stanley Cup, but he won, I think, two World Championship, one silver medal at the World Junior. Uh, I think he had two gold championship and one silver. I think playing with Crosby and all these guys, and Selke Trophy winner. I mean, he's going to play. I think he's at 894 or 95 games played in the NHL. He's going to play 900 games probably by the end of next week. So whatever happened from now on, obviously, like I said, there's one big one missing, the trophy we're talking about, but individually, individual as a career, I mean, I couldn't be more proud of Sean. I mean, being named captain 3 years ago, you know, that's that's very special, and very proud to all with one team. You know, never been traded. Got drafted seventh overall and 7 or 8 overall, and never get traded. Been in the same organization for 15 years. Been loyal to the Flyers, and I think, and obviously the Flyers been taking good care of him. So I think he's happy there. They seems happy with him, and again, it's good for both of them.
You talk about a big trophy. You were part of bringing a big trophy back to one of the smallest markets in the CHL when Acadie Bathurst won the Memorial Cup. What was critical, and what was the makeup of that team that made it so special to be the champions of the CHL?
Yeah, it is, and it was the smallest market because I know Swift Current was there at the World Cup, and they said in the press conference they were the smallest market. And when they said when we went to the microphone, we said just want to correct Swift Current here. We are the smallest market, and anyway, short story. They were saying, we're 17,000 people here in Swift Current. Well, we said we're 12,000 here in Batters, so 12,000 smaller than 17. But the makeup, I remember clearly going in the board meeting with all the owners and present my plan, and I said, listen, I've been here for, I think at that time was 15 years. I think this team never won anything, and they went to the championship the first year they were in the league. So I said it's time for us to go for it and do whatever it takes to win. And I told the owners back in the days, I remember saying, uh, we're gonna go and we're gonna be buyers at Christmas, and don't ask me what's gonna be left at the end of the season because there might be nothing left. And but I can miss it. We have to go all in and all big. So that's what we did. I think we made 6 or 7 major trade. I remember getting Fitzpatrick in net and Gallipo on defense, and Adam Aldwell the year before that on defense as well. And up front we had Samuel S. Lane and Mitch Balmus that from here Cape Breton. But yeah, we went to get 6 or 7 major pieces, and yeah, our biggest challenge I thought was beside the final, obviously, was Blainville that we won in 6, but the first series against Chicoutimi in 6, and then we went 4 straight against Sherbrooke and Victo. And when we went to the Middle Cup, to be honest, we just play our best hockey over there. The final was. I remember at one point in the game was 24-6 or 7. The shots on nets for us. It was only 1-0. Their goalie stood on his head. But that team was it was the best team I ever put on together. But it's probably one of the best team I ever seen in the last 15 years. And no wonder we won the World Cup that year. And yeah, we won 3-0 in the final. Like I said. It could have been a lot worse if it wasn't for their goalie, but that was quite an experience. And then when they said the toughest trophy to win is the Emerald Cup, being there, I can testify of that. It's a tough one. You lost one game, and the whole thing can change really quickly. You can't afford to lose any game. The point differential is really important. So there's a lot of things going on, and you have to be well aware of the rules and how it works, and you have to make sure that. You know what's going on because you can't afford any details. Every details are very important when you get there.
I know you you dot the I's and cross the T's on everything, Sly. So details are a name of the game when it comes to being a GM. One thing I want to talk to you about before we go, because we were having catering up at Center 200 before one of our games, and you started rhyming off names from Quebec wrestling's past. And I was actually quite blown away by your knowledge of Quebec wrestling history and Luke Grand Prix. Uh, Are you a wrestling fan, and is it something that you followed back in the day?
Yeah, I used to follow, like you said, I remember talking about that with you, Gilles the Fish Poisson and Edouard Carpentier and Andre the Giant and all these guys. Eddie Creechman was one of the manager. Anyway, I can go on and on, but yeah, that was a funny story. My dad was a Olympic wrestler, and yeah, so he knew a couple of the guys. If my memories correct, I think he did a little bit of wrestling with Gilles the Fish Poisson. So my dad was a big wrestler fans, and I used to watch that on TV with him back in the days. That's something that I haven't done in years, but I know that you and Pat are big fans, and it's always entertaining to watch that still today. But to know every wrestler right now, I'd be lying. I don't know anybody right now. It's all the old one.
So I did not know that your dad was an Olympic wrestler.
Yeah, he was. He was that, and he was a Golden Glove boxer as well. Growing up, and yeah, so he never did any really team sport. Never he played baseball, but he never played hockey or in his life. But he was a big time boxer and wrestler. Yeah.
So did he teach you a couple moves? Did he teach you how, when you were growing up, show you a couple things?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. No, no. I remember, especially when I got drafted in junior. My summer of training that summer was at the Club Champion. It's a boxing club in Montreal, and I spent my summer doing some sparkling and boxing with my dad, and he wants me to be ready for my junior career, I guess.
So don't mess with Sylvain. That's the moral of it. Don't mess with Couturier when he's coming with the deals. Sly, thanks for taking the time, man. It's a pleasure always to see you, and I thank you for sharing the podcast with me tonight.
Well, it was a pleasure, Mav, and anytime.
Black Friday deals are here with Eastlink.ca. No, Black Friday deals are here with Eastlink. That's right. Proudly an Atlantic Canadian company. We've got some, we want to make sure that you are connected wherever you go so that you got your trusty smartphone with you and you can get the lowest monthly prices on newest devices with pair and you pair it with plans starting at just $60 a month. That's right. The iPhone 17, we got that there. We got the Samsung S25. It's an S23, don't tell anyone. I like my S23. I love it. S23 Ultra, I love it. But we've got the iPhone 17 Pro. We got them all, folks. The phones are in, and you want to make sure that you check out eastlink.ca, call 1-888-345-1111, or visit one of our retail stores to make sure you are connected and with the phone that you want to rock for the next year or two. I still like rocking this phone. I gotta be honest. It's yeah. Anyways, y'all know that. But yeah, check out eastlink.ca, 1-888-345-1111, or visit us in store. Eastlink, a proudly Atlantic Canadian company. Thanks again to Jamie Tozer and Sylvain Couturier for joining me here on Around the Maritimes. Again, great to get a deep look at the St. John Sea Dogs from Jamie Tozer. And again, awesome to talk about rinks from around Canada and the United States. Would love to hear your opinions on some of the rinks that you've been to or throughout the CHL. And yeah, let me know what they are. You can tweet at me at Eastlink Mavs or yeah, leave the comment down below or subscribe or do all that, all that social media malarkey, if you will. But yeah, let me know. I want to hear your thoughts. Arizona State to go play the NCAA. What couldn't what wouldn't you want to do? That right there, that's got to be the spot where all these there's a lot of great hockey traditions and great hockey cultures up in the northeast of the NCAA. But and again, that's not to take anything away from all the wonderful markets that we have here in the CHL. However, Arizona has this thing. It's called the sun, and it's out for 12 months of the year. And I'm sure when we talk with Sylvain Couturier again, he talked about playing in Los Angeles, another place where they have this thing. It's called the sun, and it's out for 12 months of the year. Hey, call me what you will. I wouldn't mind playing hockey or covering hockey in a warm market. But anyways, until then, we're going to stay cold up here as winter is coming towards us. It's thanks for listening and thanks for watching. See Around the Maritime podcast, the official English language podcast of the Quebec Maritime Junior Hockey League. And you know what? A cool way to beat that sun, Carlsberg. That's right. We're presented by Carlsberg. They got a non-alcoholic one too. I haven't tried it yet. I will.